Unfortunately, there are cries for help like never before from Minnesota's youth. Listen to this. 29% of students say they've experienced depression, anxiety, or other mental health struggles for 6 months or more. That's more than ever recorded by the state. So this week, we are exploring solutions across our community. And we are fortunate enough to have joining us this morning, a child and family therapist, Ryan Millick. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so look, let's jump right into it. A question that we've been hearing a lot. What are some of the signs you would say that your child could actually benefit from therapy?
I think right off the bat, the biggest sign is that they're asking to talk to someone else. They might be isolating from friends or family, starting to struggle in school, either socially or academically. And then for some of the younger kids, it can be a lack of social skills or just uncertainty about social interactions and then behavior dysregulation.
Is that what you're seeing in some of your youngest patients, some of those things that are maybe experiencing anxiety and depression?
Yeah, it's definitely showing up in forms of isolating, withdrawing from school. They're showing just overall lack of motivation and interest in things they used to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And then on some of the more extreme cases, it can be some of the suicidal thoughts, engaging in some self-harm behaviors.
I know that you've worked in both a clinic and a school space. Can you walk us through some of the differences? Because they can be very different.
They can be very different. I think the biggest difference is just the space and the setting. So in the school setting with the school-based therapist or your school counselor, you are surrounded by sometimes what the problem is. So it can be really tricky and difficult to want to address some of those concerns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like no one wants to talk about their difficult friendships when
they're right there.
They're at school with their friends.
Yeah.
And so I think the bigger piece too is just the space and then the amount of time. Usually in the outpatient setting, we're working more for 50 minutes. And in the school-based setting, it can be anywhere from like 20 to 30, maybe longer. Mm-hmm. Those are really the two big pieces.
So would you say that an outpatient place would be better than a school in addressing some of those issues?
It depends on the issue and the concern. If they're pretty significant, I do think that an outpatient setting would be healthier and maybe more effective because they can be outside of that setting and have a little more time, and then they're not thrust right back into their school day.
So I'm thinking, like, for anyone who has decided to join therapy or decided to give it a shot, that could be tough. I mean, just making that first step, that can be a daunting thing. What are some ways that you would say would be a good idea or good way to prepare your child and then also prepare yourself for a session?
Yeah, so to prepare your child, the simplest and easiest way is to talk to them about what therapy is. We are different than your typical doctor. We don't do shots. We don't do weights, measurements. We are very much just focused on talking and teaching you about how to understand your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Showing them a picture of your therapist that you can find online, print it off, let them see it to get comfortable with the face that they're going to see. And then for the adults or the parent, I think the biggest way to prepare yourself is check your insurance coverage. Most people don't know that mental health coverage can be wildly different than their medical coverage, and that can be pretty shocking.
Yeah, it certainly can be. If you're looking through your options, you're like, wait a second, this isn't covered, and you thought it was covered. So that's definitely good advice. So okay, so you've decided to start therapy. Walk us through, if you can, what actually happens in a therapy session.
The first session is all about information gathering. As the therapist, I want to know as much as I can about what your child is experiencing or what you as the parent are experiencing so that I can help you more. So we go through a lot of history, get to know each other, and then going forward, we come up with a plan of how do we want to tackle these symptoms. If it's anxiety, are we going to focus on social skills, social interactions? Maybe it's test performance, perfectionist tendencies, and really just coming together as a collective to best support the kid. So sometimes we do some therapeutic play, crafts. You know, not every kid is capable of talking for 50 minutes, so we have to sprinkle in some fun here and there.
Okay, so really quick, because we are starting to run out of time, how do you reinforce then that at home? After you've had the therapy session, trying to reinforce that at home?
That's a really tricky one, and that is put heavily on the parents, and I think we see that on the back end if progress is being made in therapy.
Okay. One final question. Do you recommend therapy for parents whose kids are in therapy?
Yes, absolutely. If you are being upset or triggered, as the big word is right now, by your child's behavior, there's something else going on, and you should definitely seek out therapy for yourself.
Ryan, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes
Thank
to join
you.
us. I wish we had more time, because it feels like we are just now just barely scratching the surface as far as what you can expect when it comes to therapy. But again, we appreciate your insight and your time.